have 3 women on set on Friday. I am Abimbola Bello.
And I am Adebimpe Omotayo. Good morning.
I am Joy Olu. Welcome to the conversation.
All right, of course, this week generally is marked as the Women's Week. And of course, it will culminate tomorrow with the celebration of the International Women's Day. But before we talk about Ilubiri this morning, on a sad note, I don't know if you heard about the death of Chief Donyokukwe. Of course, he died at 72 after battling with cancer. For those who've been monitoring him, you would know that he's been in and out of illness for quite some time now, and finally, he gave up, and our heart goes out to the family at this particular time as they mourn the loss of this man, the spokesman of so many people in Nigeria. Of course, Donyokukwe, he never kept quiet, and until his death, he still spoke glowingly about the current administration and Mr. President. So we commiserate with the family, and we pray God will grant him eternal rest.
Amen.
Okay, so the living are still here. So let's continue the show. And like we said, tomorrow would again be celebrated as International Women's Day. So ahead of tomorrow, happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. Right, so maybe on that note, Joy has a very short snippet from that story. And of course, Joy, let's begin with you.
In commemoration of the International Women's Day 2025, the Lagos State Government, through the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, is set to celebrate the 2025 International Women's Day. The event will be starting today at 7th of March 2025, anytime from now at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena, Onikon Stadium, with the theme, "Together we can forge women's equality. Collectively we can all accelerate action." Yeah. And the theme for this year is accelerate action.
Yes, accelerate action. And of course, Mr. Governor is expected to be at that event. His deputy, their wives, as well as, of course, the WAPA commissioner, whom, of course, it is a ministry that is coordinating this. And we should also hook up with that event. There will be a live transmission from that event. The time, although 10 a.m. on the invite, but it is when the governor gets there that the event will start. So you can keep it locked down here. As soon as we have signal from that event, we will definitely, go to join in that celebration. Adebimpe, let's take your story. Or perhaps, let me take this. Since the second one also has to do with women, from at the federal level, let me just take that, and Adebimpe will take the final story. Tinubu to empower 10 million women by 2027. The federal government has announced plans to empower 10 million women by 2027 as part of its broader strategy to transform Nigeria into a 1 trillion naira economy by 2030. In a statement made available to newsmen by the Securities and Exchange Commission on Thursday, the Minister of Women Affairs, Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, during a recent event to commemorate International Women's Day themed Accelerate Action Empowering Women Through Financial Literacy and Inclusion. Sulaiman Ibrahim emphasized the need for immediate and decisive action to boost financial literacy and inclusion for women, noting that financial knowledge is crucial in helping them make informed economic decisions. She identified barriers hindering women's full participation in the economy, including limited access to credit, exclusion from formal financial systems, and vulnerability to fraudulent schemes. She called for urgent interventions to address these challenges. The minister also highlighted that Nigerian women own about 40% of small businesses in the country, underscoring their role in economic growth. Well, that's the thrust of the story this morning, and it is the fact that if nothing, it's very important that women have access to funds, because again, that is one of the issues a lot of women face. And we realize, just like the minister also said, small businesses are owned by close to 40% of women in Nigeria. And of course, if you ask majority of these women, funding is usually the biggest challenge that they face, especially when it comes to accessing loans, getting business funding and all of that. It's really difficult sometimes for women to pull through. But if all of these things can be done and not just by mouth, we do hope that it will go a long way. And oftentimes we also wonder, why do statements like this wait for the commemoration of International Women's Day before they are accelerated?
Yeah, and then they didn't specify the modalities to which these 10 million women will be selected. Are we going to be part of them?
It's work in progress. Do you have a business?
Are you a businesswoman?
And I'm sure that, without trying to hold brief for government, I'm sure that they would also do this through SMEDAN, all those, those societies, associations. And that's why I remember I can't remember the woman now, but I remember somebody had come on this show before who also spoke about the fact that it's important that business owners, especially women, should belong to some of these associations, because oftentimes when government needs to divest funds.
They need data.
Yes, they always go to those associations. And so gone are those days or the era where you say, you have to be deliberate here and pick, the associations you belong to.
This reminds me of a friend of mine who had issues with her school after COVID. Most of her pupils, they didn't come back to the school. Wow. And I think the Lagos State government was giving some form of funding,
COVID funding at that time.
And she was one of the beneficiaries without knowing anybody. All she had to do was, of course, she was part of one of those associations.
Right.
And all she had to do was fill forms and
just prove that indeed you have a business and your business was affected. These things, they go a long way. But then people need to also have the information, the relevant information, to be able to access some of these funds. Okay, Adebimpe, let's take your story.
This happened yesterday as Air Force vows to sanction officers over invasion of IKEDC's office. This word invasion, one has to be careful now.
I've deleted it from my vocabulary.
We have to be very careful. The Nigerian Air Force has described the invasion of Ikeja Electric Distribution Company's head office at Alausa by its armed operatives as unfortunate, promising to investigate and bring those responsible for the raid to justice. Officer Commanding Logistics Command, AVM Adeniran Ademuwagun, gave the assurance when he visited the DISCO's premises after the incident to broker peace. The briefing followed hours of meeting with top management of IKEDC and NAF delegation led by the AOC. AVM Ademuwagun said, and I quote, "What happened this morning, which was yesterday, was quite unfortunate, and certainly it will not happen again. As you heard from the chairman, electricity in the base environment is not a luxury. It is an essential commodity," unquote. Armed soldiers numbering over 60 on Thursday morning invaded the DISCO's headquarters, disrupting business activities, injuring more than 10 staffers and damaging properties. Eyewitnesses recounted how the soldiers, angered by the disconnection of their light for more than 10 days, stormed the business premises located not far from the government house, allegedly pointing their cocked guns at civilians while ordering them to lay down with their faces to the ground. Yes, yesterday, we heard this report yesterday while we were here, and of course, we got this hint that one of the officers of the IKEDC was coming into the studio, but I don't know what happened. Okay, according to reports, the premises of the IKEDC was invaded.
Yeah, better use the word attacked.
Well, okay. They were staff and officials of IKEDC Alausa were attacked yesterday. And, there were so many videos that were saying, those who could get out, you know, running, scaling gates, scaling the fence, you know, to you know, find safety.
An eyesore,
it was
and
an
I think
eyesore.
their ED was locked in the trunk of a car.
Yes.
Yesterday. But you know what I found disturbing was when later in the day when a meeting held and you know their head said it won't happen again. So the question is, did they actually leave the Sam Esnan barracks in Mafuluku without authorization?
That is the first most
Because
fundamental
if they
question.
had left without anybody giving them a go-ahead,
Oh, Dagbiri.
and they came to unleash such bad attitude on workers who were doing their lawful business. In the first place, you were owing.
Exactly.
You were owing no small money.
Big money.
Billions.
You were owing billions.
Billions.
And so if everybody owes,
And we go there to fight.
and we go there to beat them up, how do you expect them to carry out their duties? So he who must come to equity must come with clean hands. So if you had come to say that you were not giving electricity supply because you were not owing, it would have been okay.
Have they been paying?
Obviously, they hadn't been paying.
That's why they are
So how
owing.
can they
So
say
that's
they are
why
not
you're owing. So you're owing, and then you now had the audacity to come to an establishment to behave in a bad manner with your uniforms.
That's a disrespect.
It is a great disrespect even to the uniform, because you cannot be a uniform man and be disrespectful. So the fact that, you know, the Alga came there to talk yesterday, said it just wasn't right. Because as you were coming, you should have come to say those officers had been sanctioned. Do you understand? I mean, so if we're saying it means that things can be investigate what? Didn't your men come there to destroy things?
What if
There
lives
was
were
traffic.
lost?
There was because coming
What
to
if
work
lives
yesterday.
were lost yesterday?
I don't even
Coming to work yesterday,
understand.
that place
Because
was blocked.
it's just not fair that, you know, you came into a place, you beat up human beings, you beat up grown people,
They are working
fathers,
to
mothers.
earn their own living.
Who, I don't know. You know, sometimes we do certain things in this country and we just assume, okay, well, everybody.
Just the trauma for me.
Yes,
It's the trauma.
it's actually so. And then, so all of those facilities that they destroyed.
Who's gonna?
And, you know, that's the second facility they were destroying. They had first destroyed the IKEDC office in the Oshodi area, a substation, before coming to the headquarters. So what's going to happen? Are you going to take from their salaries to replace some of those things that they destroyed, or the hospital bills of some of those workers? There are just some things that, you know, everybody cannot be,
It's not justifiable.
cannot be silly at the same time.
We're human beings. We should always come together and dialogue. There's nothing wrong with
If they had
dialogue.
even called to call for a meeting,
Yes.
and then why didn't UCH that was out of power for how long?
Did you see anybody,
UCH that was a health facility.
you know?
Why didn't they go and beat them up? We just need to think like normal human beings sometimes. Those are our news points today. Let's quickly head to the X platform to take a look at one of the many trending stories on that platform yesterday. If you've been following activities at the National Assembly and you thought that you didn't see this suspension coming, you probably do not know how those people work. And I remember that days ago, I can't remember where, I can't remember if it was here or in the newsroom, we had said there was no gainsaying Natasha was going to be suspended. For how long she was going to be suspended, we're not sure. And so yesterday, we got the fact that she was suspended for 6 months. And you remember that, you know, she represented her petition, this time signed by her constituent. And, you know, the Senate took the petition and afterwards did say, you know, she stood suspended for gross misconduct, you know, before the lawmakers. But, you know, the question many people are also asking is, if you were going to take a decision, should it have been the Senate president that should have presided over? You cannot be the judge and the jury in your own case. And so, and then she also did say, well, you have not heard the last of me.
Yes.
You will hear more from me. So sometimes, you know, some of our institutions, we need to also get back to the era where these institutions were held in high esteem and not a place where you could just joke about certain things. I know that, you know, a couple of women lawmakers have also backed the National Assembly, saying there are rules, there are regulations, and all of that. I'm not disputing that fact. But can we also ensure that due diligence is done? Was the case properly investigated by the Ethics Committee? If it was, what was the outcome? If you're punishing Natasha, is the Senate President too big to also be punished if he had erred in certain places? So, you know, sometimes let's look at left, right, and center before taking a position. Of course, I'm sure she can appeal. Now, because I had the president asking Senate President yes, the case was in court. She said no. She said no. But now I'm sure that she would go, because now she's been suspended for 6 months. So there are so many she would want to fight as we speak.
My take on this is that fellow women lawmakers, this is International Women's Day. We have 3 others in the Senate who are female senators, and all of them, you know, also signed this petition that they should, you know, suspend Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Is it that this particular senator is not liked? I don't know what happened. But, you know, I found it really, really shocking that not one
was even standing by
not
her.
one,
Well,
you know, stood
so
by,
again, it
by
means
her.
that perhaps we're also not privy to certain things. So there must be more.
Because
this issue that the public do know.
Because someone like Senator
Ireti
Kingibe, who is also
very vocal,
you know, didn't even support her. So there's more to it. And when they keep saying, both parties, the Akpabios and the Uduaghans are saying that, look, we're family friends, we're family friends. Didn't they at some point, you know, at least if the women are doing their own, the men should just, the husbands should come to, you know, have a meeting since that incident that happened in the chambers, you know. I beg, you know, they talk as friends they claim to be.
Say that,
you know,
and then come back and be friends.
And I'm coming
so
to that.
It's,
you know, before she went to court,
you
know, before she even went to court,
there are things that have happened that we are not privy to.
And those things are also not things that perhaps can be disclosed.
Can be disclosed. There's more to it than what we see, like Abimbola said earlier. Because so in this, I'm not standing by anybody.
Standing for the rule of law.
Not standing with anybody. I'm standing with, she was asked to move her seat, you know, change her seat.
But she eventually sat
and then she came back on Monday and sat down there. And nobody moved, you know, I don't.
Well, again,
Nigeria
we are in Nigeria where, you know, things happen and sometimes you wonder what is going on. But we do hope that, you know, sense of reasoning will prevail, and maybe behind closed doors, all of these things can be talked about and can be resolved, and then people can sheath their swords. But again, sometimes...
which part do you really find most amusing? The one I found most amusing...
The kissing. Which one?
Yes.
Everybody...
What is that?
Everybody can kiss their bride.
Hey, comedy. House of comedy.
Drama.
Everybody...
Senate House of Comedy. And then when Mrs. Akpabio too came out to say...
Then goodbye, my darling.
Goodbye.
I beg. Let everybody find... Let everybody find peace.
Find your peace.
Find your peace in this matter. So even if at home we don't talk and we don't greet,
we have to show.
We'll come outside and say
that we greet and we talk and we kiss.
drama country. I beg.
Niger.
So that's it. On on the X platform this morning. Of course, you can go on the X platform and read all manners of comments on this particular issue. But definitely, the last hasn't been heard on this particular matter. We'll take a quick break. When the conversation returns, another woman will be joining us this morning. Of course, we're still celebrating International Women's Day, although it is tomorrow. But of course, you know, we won't be here tomorrow. So we are celebrating our International Women's Day today. And like the theme, accelerate action. So today, we are speaking on accelerating action on gender equality. And I particularly like the fact that this time around, we're taking a look at gender equality, because many people say gender inequality, and some are beginning to question that inequality and even the equality part. Some say it should actually be equity as against equality. Why are women asking for equality? Why are women saying that you want to be at par with the men? But when you say equity, then it means that if you're qualified for a role, your gender should not be a determining factor. As long as you know it is a role you're due for, it is a role that you've worked towards. And so, but some way you say equality, it means that you're just trying to be equal when sometimes there are no competitions. Sometimes even when there are no competitions. So is it just a choice of word, or are we still in that very strong patriarchal society where women will always be seen as a second fiddle? That's the conversation after this short break.